Hello, everyone. Stormy Nights here. This is my very first YouTube video. For those of y'all that don't know me, I am a Twitch streamer. I stream Monday through Friday. I play Dead by Daylight Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then Marvel Rivals most recently on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Um, I decided I wanted to make this YouTube channel to kind of expand on what I've been doing with my other platforms like TikTok, which unfortunately at the time of recording this, today's the 12th, we don't have much time left with. So I'm trying to expand my avenues just a little bit, I would say. So I have an Instagram now, and of course now I'm making this YouTube channel. But I wanted to make this because instead of just posting clips, which I would do on like TikTok or even Instagram, I think this platform provides me a bit more flexibility to make long form content where I'm able to like sit down and say, hey, here's a tutorial on how to play this character. Here's some information about the updates or information about the PTB or whatever the case may be in any, situation that may arise. So I'm really excited about being able to make that kind of long form content going forward. I think that's going to be really exciting to see where that takes me. So for my first video, I actually want to touch on my main. And actually, if I'm being totally real with y'all, I haven't played the Knight in a hot second, but he is definitely one of my favorite killers in the game to verse, to play as, and so forth. So definitely excited about getting to kind of show some tips and tricks with him. Maybe how I play him isn't going to work for you, and that's fine. But this is just a really good entryway for playing the Knight if you've never played him before. So, getting started, this is the Knight right here. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about him just a little bit. His stats are pretty much standard stats: a 4.6 meters per second movement speed, a 32 meter tear radius, and then an average height. His power, it's the Guardia Compagnia. It's Italian, so I totally just butchered that, and my bad. So to get started with his power, he has the ability to send out one of 3 guards at a time. Via something called the patrol path, he can send out an orb that goes a certain distance. This distance can be modified by add-ons, of course, but he can send out one of his guards in any direction that he wants to. So let's say you hear a gen that's, really close. You can send a guard to that gen. Let's say you see a door that needs to be broken in the distance in a chase that you're in, you can do that. Essentially, what his power allows you to do is to send out a guard to complete a task for you. These tasks can include breaking doors, breaking pallets, kicking generators, and even chasing survivors. As I mentioned before, the guards can only be used one at a time, and each guard has its own individual cooldown. There are 3 guards that you can choose from when you play as the Knight: the Carnifex, the Assassin, and the Jailer. All 3 guards have completely different functions. To start, there's the Carnifex. I always say he's the beefy boy because he's really big. But the Carnifex can be used most efficiently to break pallets, break doors, and kick generators. This can be very useful in chase. If a survivor pre-drops a pallet, or if you know they're about to drop a pallet, you can respect the pallet, drop your guard, break the pallet, and go straight through like nothing ever happened. These kind of actions are done really quickly by the Carnifex. All of his guards can do these things, but much slower than the Carnifex. The Carnifex, you always want to use him for breaking pallets, breaking doors, breaking generators. He's not as efficient in chase, so you're not going to want to use him there. But which ones are good in chase? That leads us to the Assassin. The Assassin is the fastest of any of the 3 guards. He can chase survivors pretty fast, to the point where if survivors aren't efficiently holding W, he will catch up to them. Upon attacking a healthy survivor, the Assassin puts that survivor into the deep wound status effect. That brings us to the Jailer, which is the 3rd and final guard the Knight has. This guard is very good at looking for survivors and making sure that they're monitoring an area for a long enough period of time. They also chase a survivor for quite a long time, even though they're not as fast. This guard is best for if you know a generator is about to pop off and it's really far away. This guard can get a survivor to run it for a very long time, especially if you're a ways away. Now, let me explain why I mentioned that. All of these guards have their own timer for the amount of time they are present on the map, meaning a guard will only be present for X amount of time. This time can be expanded by the length of the path that you set out earlier. So if you do a really short path, that guard is only going to be available for maybe 2 seconds. But if you do a long path, it might be available for 10 plus seconds. So depending on how long your path to whatever objective you're looking at is, you will get more value from whichever guard you're using. Some commonalities between all of the guards is all of them can injure, all of them can down, all of them can grab survivors out of lockers, and all of them can vault pallets or phase through the pallet. So let's review what each of the guards do best. The Carnifex is best for when you need to break pallets, generators, or doors. The Assassin is best in chase. And the Jailer is best when you're trying to keep a survivor distracted for a very long time. This is good for situations where you need to get to a generator, but you know it's about to go off. Use the Jailer, and that will keep the survivor preoccupied for a much longer time than any of the others. His personal perks. So he does have Nowhere to Hide. Hex Face the Darkness is a Hex perk. It's a little bit complicated, but it's actually a pretty cool perk. Whenever you injure a survivor, this Hex becomes active, and every 25 seconds, survivors that are not in your terror radius will scream and reveal their aura for 2 seconds. Hubris, whenever you are stunned by a survivor by any means, that survivor gains the exposed status effect for 20 seconds. And then Hubris has a cooldown of 20 seconds as well. I think of all of his perks, the best is Nowhere to Hide. There's so much value you get from knowing where survivors are nearby gens, because a lot of the times, survivors don't just completely run away from a generator when they hear you coming. They'll hide. And Nowhere to Hide basically gives you the upper hand and prevents anything goofy like that from happening. Let's talk about his add-ons. When it comes to add-ons, he has quite a few good ones. And of course, you're more than welcome to read through all of them. The two that I think you might have the best time with are Call to Arms, which is a yellow add-on, so you'll have a lot of these to start out. Call to Arm increases the patrol path by 10 meters, while creating the path movement speed is increased by 25%. So essentially what this means is, let's say you are pretty far away from a generator that you know is about to go off. You want to send your guard over there. This add-on most of the time will ensure that you're able to. It will give you that extra 10 meters you need, while also increasing the speed at which you're able to make that patrol path, meaning you use his power and it's done in a few seconds. So you're not wasting a lot of time, and you're extending the length or the reach of your guards. I also use the Town's Watch Torch, which essentially when any time one of your guards is hunting a survivor, so that's when it's chasing a survivor, you, the killer, gain the undetectable status, which is so cool because the undetectable status affects all survivors, meaning I can have one of my guards chasing any of the survivors, and then I can go on a chase with another survivor being undetectable. They won't know I'm coming, and I can kind of sneak up on them. The rest of his add-ons are really good as well. Something I forgot to mention earlier is whenever you place a knight down, at that spawn, there's something called the Standard. The Standard is a flag that has a loading time. Once that flag has fully loaded, if a survivor touches that flag, your guard immediately goes away and that survivor gains a speed boost away from you. So it's really cool to have this add-on, Sharpened Mount. This add-on allows you to extend the time it takes for the standard to spawn. But already by itself, the standard does take a while, especially if you do a long patrol path. As for his other add-ons, his iridescent ones, of course, are pretty good. This one's actually really cool, the Knight's Contract. I don't personally use this one, but I have seen so many people get a lot of good value out of this one. The Knight's Contract essentially allows you to do two things with your guard. Let's say you have the Carnifex and you're breaking a pallet. After he breaks the pallet, he'll detect that survivor who's near the pallet and continue chasing them, which is pretty cool if you ask me. But I don't see it as particularly useful as some of his other ones. His Iridescent Company one is actually kind of insane. Essentially, for any survivor that is being hunted, the exit gates are blocked for that survivor for the entire duration of the hunt. It also adds a little feature during the game, so you're not left with just an in-game add-on. When you're doing a patrol path and you pass through a vault, it blocks the vault for 25 seconds after summoning the guard, which can be useful if you're at a really powerful loop, maybe like the Shack, where there's one window, so you're able to block that window without having to like use a perk like Bamboozle. In terms of what perks work well on him, he's pretty diverse in terms of the perks that he benefits from. I personally use Discordance, Pop Goes the Weasel, Call of Brine, and Nowhere to Hide. Nowhere to Hide, after kicking a generator, you see the survivor's auras for 5 seconds if they're within 24 meters of you. This is really great for information on where a survivor is because you can drop a guard down in that location, have them chase them. Call of Brine, I love Call of Brine. Of course, it has the added benefit of being a regression perk, but I love that Call of Brine is also an aura perk. You can see when a generator is being worked on when they get a good skill check, which is very often. So you'll get a notification anytime that generator is being worked on pretty much, which I think is pretty great because that gives you more information. Say, okay, that generator I just kicked is now being worked on again. Let me send one of my guards to stop them. Of course, Pop Goes the Weasel is kind of a perk that's good for every killer. It's a good slowdown perk. I think every killer needs probably at least one slowdown perk, unfortunately, just with how the meta is right now. Discordance, similar to Call of Brine, is a really good perk on him. Any perk that tells you where survivors are is so useful for this killer. Discordance, of course, shows you anytime 2 or more survivors are working on a gen where that gen is. And that's just so much information for him. Now, we're going to do a little practice match with the add-ons and the perks that I've described. Okay, so we're getting started. The Knight does really good in open maps like this one. So this is a really good map for him. So we're just going to go ahead and start off by switching to the Jailer. So the Jailer is, if you pay attention to the little green marks right here, the Jailer is going to be noted by these green, they look like keys to me. I'm pretty sure they are keys. The Carnifex is noted by the skull. Oh, hello, survivor over there. And then the Assassin is noted by, is he opening a chest? Oh my gosh. The Assassin is noted by a sword. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my guard, good grief. He catches him. So right now I am undetectable because of that perk I discussed. So there is some commotion going over here. I'm still undetectable because my guard is still chasing him. Actually, that chase just ended because the bill got hit. Okay, there's a gen that's being worked on. We're going to send my Carnifex to break the gen. As you see, he broke it. Do keep in mind, though, if you have the guard break it, any perks that you would benefit from breaking it yourself, you're not going to benefit from. So like Nowhere to Hide, unfortunately, you will not benefit from it at all. So we're going to send my assassin in the hopes that he catches her. That sound means that he did catch her. We're going to go over here now. Oh, nice. So something I actually forgot to mention earlier is that when a survivor does get downed, you get killer instinct for them for a couple of seconds. So over here at Jin just got done. What I like to do is send the jailer to kind of just patrol this general area, because a lot of the time a survivor can be found that way. And just like that, I was able to break the pallet and immediately continue chase, which is something I mentioned earlier with using him. That chase would have lasted a lot longer had I had to physically break the pallet myself. So do keep that in mind with your Carnifex. Also, his cooldown is a lot shorter than the other ones, but you can benefit from doing that. Also, if you are near your guard while he is chasing one of the survivors, your guard's timer will go down a lot faster. So just make sure that you are not hovering around unless if you know for a fact you're about to go, like about to be able to get the down. So I see that there is a Jin being worked on by multiple survivors over here. So I am going to get a little bit closer and then I'm going to send out him. Nice. Okay, so now the Bill is going to be forced to use the pallet here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. He's going to break it and see how we didn't have to break anything. So we're able to go a lot faster. Of course, like I said, all of your guards can perform all of the same functions. Something to keep in mind, you cannot use your guard. Oof. You cannot use your guard to camp someone. And there's a really simple reason for why that's the case. In the event that you do drop a guard down in front of a survivor that's on hook, if that survivor has someone try to unhook them and gets caught by the guard, the second they begin the unhooking process, the guard is disabled. So you can't camp with the guard. I know a lot of people are like, oh, all knights do is camp with the guard. You can't. It's not possible. But see how I was able to get a lot of value from just seeing that someone was working on the Jin over here. And I was able to stop anything from happening. So Bill is going to run to this pallet here. We're going to summon our guard, and we're going to keep going with the chase. Again, another example of just how powerful being able to do that is. And boom, just like that, the chase is over. And of course, the knight has one of my favorite Moris in the game. I think it looks so stunning. Genuinely the coolest thing ever. But that's really it when it comes to the knight. A couple things to just keep in mind at the back of your head. When you are sending out the guards, you don't see the survivors' scratch marks, but you can still hear the survivors. You can still see them interacting with the environment. So like if they're rustling grass or whatever the case is, you can see it. So just keep that in mind as you play against people when you are playing as the knight. With that being said, that is the end of this video. Super duper thankful that I was able to make this. And I hope y'all enjoyed this. Of course, if you have any questions, you can leave a comment below. I may have forgotten some things. I did have a script beside me, hoping that I would remember everything, but, you know, I might have forgotten some things. But that's the general idea with him. He's super simple. He's a lot of fun to play as. A lot of fun to go against, but not many people think that is the case, unfortunately. But yeah, so without further ado, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have some fun playing the knight. And if you do, and it's because of me, just let me know, because I love the knight so much. One of my favorite killers in the game. So much fun to play as. But until next time, have a great one, and I will see you later.